So here we are on the Bosnian Pyramid of the Moon, and this is December 4th, 2014. This is Trek to the Bosnian Pyramid of the Moon number 2. I guided some friends from Sarajevo up here a few days ago, and my hat was lost on the pyramid. I wasn't sure where it was. I thought maybe it was in Ravne Tunnel, because we went there too, but checked Ravne, wasn't there. And not a lot of tourists here in the cold season, so I thought, well, maybe the hat is still on the pyramid, and in fact it was in some trees put there presumably by an intelligent being hiking up the pyramid in the last few days. Yeah, so here we are, having retrieved the hat. Now it's time to check out the topmost terrace and the most spectacular terrace here on the Bosnian Pyramid of the Moon in Visoko, Bosnia. And this is the second tallest pyramid in the world, and here is one of the terraces. Let me just take this spider web out from my spiders are coming out in force in the winter here. And this terrace is part of the second largest pyramid in the world. The first tallest pyramid in the world is right over there. It's the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. Now, so this is the terrace that Robert Schoch, Yale PhD in geology, says is natural, that is not man-made. Intelligent hands did not make this terrace. So I guess that's why experts exist, so that they can tell us that what we see in front of our noses is not true, and set science back decade after decade, century after century. But if we, like Aristotle, go into the world with inquiring minds and open eyes and open minds, then we can determine certain things. For instance, we notice that these blocks, this one comes out a little bit to the right from the previous one, yes? And that one comes out a little bit to the right. And that one comes out a little bit to the right. And that one. And you say to yourself, this is interesting. And then we also notice the curves. And we say, I wonder why they went to the trouble of making curves between these blocks. And so beautifully done, and so incredibly regular, so that the width between them is similar along the line. Now these are starting to fall. This one's, the bigger one's starting to fall here. Starting to fall to the left. It's supposed to be inclined like this one. All the terraces on this pyramid are inclined toward the structure. So the structure's here, that's clay. Many, many, many meters of clay. This is inclined, so if you put this is about, my camera's about flat right now, so you can see that there's a significant incline into the structure, but these are falling off because they have no clay to support them over here. The clay was dug out to find them, and so little by little they're starting to fall to the left. So we need to get some money to shore them up so that they don't fall, because this is just too lovely. This is the most beautiful stonework I've ever seen, ancient, modern, in photos, in person. And oddly, this stonework was not meant to be seen. This stonework, as beautiful as it is, was never meant to be seen by anyone. It was built for structural reasons, and it is not a terrace to be walked on. It was covered with clay and excavated by excited volunteers. So what we discover is, as with the pyramids in Egypt, the irregular sized stones, some small, some large, and this non-straight abutment is for structural reasons. If there's an earthquake, it's completely about earthquakes. If there's an earthquake, the clay between the stone terraces takes up most of the, it's a very elastic substance, the ancients knew that, and it takes up most of the movement, the kinetic energy. But the terraces want to be able to do that too, and if they move, they need to be able to slide and then come back to how they were. And this curving these curving joints are a brilliant way to mitigate earthquake energy. Not only are they curving between them, but they are curving that each terrace, each line of stones is curving too. So this is curving around, but at the same time that this is curving, there's an incline. So it's inclined this way toward the structure, toward the pyramid itself. It's inclined that way. So it's inclined that way, but not only is it inclined toward the structure, it's also inclined up. So we're going down right here. That's up. Significant slope. So this terrace is spiraling up the pyramid as it's inclined to the right toward the structure, and it's curving between its lines of stones, and it's curving between each stone. How about that? And that is what Robert Schoch says is natural. Schoch out. When Robert Schoch was here in 2006, by the invitation of the discoverer of the Bosnian pyramid complex, Dr. Semir Osmanagic, he took a few photos, not very many, and he published even fewer. And one of the photos that he published, he didn't label it, so there was no way for anyone to know where it was taken from. But now I have discovered where it was taken from. It's a close-up shot of this little feature, which Robert Schoch, Yale PhD in geology, calls a fault line. And this is proof to the expert from Yale that this is an earthquake tectonic situation. Now, if that were true, he says that this is all natural, by the way. That that's a natural bunch of rocks, and that this is a natural bunch of stones that just happen to incline toward the structure. It happened to go up and a spiral around the structure. It happened to be placed next to each other in this quite lovely and pleasing way, in this sort of a diagonal to the structure. You can see the straight line would be like this, but you've got diagonal, they're going to the left, consistently going to the left for structural integrity. And also there's the stepping. Here's this next level steps up, and this next level steps up. So Robert Schoch says there's a tectonic movement which has been creating these pyramids, that the uplift, some uplift from somewhere, he doesn't tell us where or why or when, some uplift has created triangular faced pyramids or pyramid-like structures. And that evidence of tectonic movement is right here. That's his evidence. An unlabeled photo, very small, on his official website. Now this is an odd feature, to be sure, but we know from other excavations around the pyramid complex that the ancients, after they laid stone terraces or concrete on the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, its terraces on the Moon Pyramid, they would lay many layers of clay. And you can see the layering right there, layer after layer after layer after layer. Layer after layer. And then you get to the darker part, which is the soil, which is accumulated from vegetation, leaves, and other, the grass that dies every year and becomes organic material and becomes soil. But you can see that clearly that the soil is not the same as the clay that the ancients laid. So the ancients laid this clay as an elastic, earthquake-resistant material. It's also waterproof. It's also a thermal insulation. It's also sound insulation. Clay is an amazing material, is perfect for making pyramids out of, and the Pyramid of the Moon is mostly clay with occasional terraces like this. So oddly, this terrace suddenly goes down, and the stones are laid vertically, virtually vertically here, and the clay mimics that. Now, if there was a tectonic movement of the earth enough to force clay to suddenly go vertical, we would see these stones all over the place. They would not be laid next to each other in perfect alignment. It would be absolutely impossible with all that energy coming through. These stones would be scattered far and wide. And what are they doing here next to each other anyway in a terrace formation? That's not nature. But even assuming that it were nature, even taking Robert Schoch's Yale PhD expertise at face value and saying, yes, this may have been naturally created, then this could not have ever occurred by tectonic movement. And yet, that's exactly what he says. If you hit Command U, I believe is the command, on Robert Schoch's official page where he talks about this, you can find the name of the photo, and it says something like tectonic JPEG or something like that. But as I said, he doesn't label it, so we have to go find it. And so 8 years later, we now know where he took that photo. I've written him many times, he never writes back, but of course my letters are not exactly pleasant. So yeah, Robert Schoch, Yale PhD in geology, has disfigured virtually all the conversations about the Bosnian pyramids on the internet. And it's a big problem because someone will say, oh my gosh, I'm so excited, I found this photo of a terrace on the Bosnian Pyramid of the Moon, or the concrete on the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, or look at this photo of the pyramid from the sky. There's pyramids in Europe. And then there's someone else will say, oh, Robert Schoch said there are no pyramids there, and that's the end of the conversation. So all the excitement, the enthusiasm of people coming to this incredible discovery that Dr. Semir Osmanagic made back in 2005, April of 2005, is squelched. Why? Because of one man who became an archaeostar because he, quote, discovered rainwater erosion on the Sphinx. He didn't discover rainwater erosion on the Sphinx. That was found by René Schwaller de Lubitz many decades before Schoch was on the scene, long before Schoch was born. And John Anthony West wanted someone to, with credentials, to confirm this rainwater erosion and possibly flood erosion also. But so he brought Schoch out. Schoch confirmed it, and he became the big alternative archaeology guy. He's not an alternative archaeology guy. His dating of the Sphinx is still it's not really well within orthodox dating, but it doesn't push the Sphinx back to anywhere near when the Sphinx had to have been built. a minimum age. It's not even close. So he's basically like a damage control guy. Why? I don't know. I mean, people keep saying to me over and over he's getting paid. I don't think so. I think he's just an idiot. All right, this is Jock Doubleday reporting from the Bosnian Pyramid of the Moon. I'll just give you one last shout out of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun in mist here in Visoko, Bosnia, December 4th, 2014. Let's cue the soundtrack. Some beautiful ancient music.